I think this will make things run a little bit more smoothly. If you'll all please leave the sanctuary and give our table people time to get set up. All of you will need to sign in for the meeting, and there are 6 tables that are alphabetically in order. We're starting in Davis Hall with 2 tables, 1 table in the foyer, and 3 tables in here, with the A's starting in there, and the last half of the alphabet is in here. The tables are all well marked, so give the table people a few minutes to get their things set up. And what you'll do is go to the table and sign in, and they will give you a green voting card. This is what you'll hold up in order to vote. If you came with a proxy, go and sign in yourself, get your green voting card, and then go to the table for the person for whom you are holding the proxy. You will be given a white voting card for them, and you'll hold that up. The proxies do not count toward a quorum, and we have a high requirement for a quorum today. So all you people on Zoom, please hang in there with us. We want to hear your voice as well. Thank you. Yes, the people on Zoom, your votes will count.
And the votes will count. The proxy votes count.
Yes.
The proxy votes count, but they just don't count towards a quorum. But the Zooms do on both counts. I see a lot of happy faces on Zoom. To remind us that all the work of a congregation is spiritual work, we're going to begin this congregational meeting with a chalice lighting. These words are by Eric Walker Wickstrom. As we approach our congregational meeting, let us remember we are doing the work of the congregation. And when we do the work of this congregation, we touch lives. When we touch lives, we change the world. May this chalice flame we now kindle remind us throughout our meeting of our ministry and our mission. And when we speak, and we can turn off our cell phones. When we speak, let us remember our love and respect for each other. And if we need to stand and wiggle, please do it. Thank you. And now you will hear from our board president about why the heck this meeting.
Good morning. Not quite. Almost. Okay, so why this meeting? First of all, let me call the meeting to order. We will have a request for a formal vote later in the meeting, but I'd like to just lay out and summarize information that has already been sent out. Most of what I'm going to say has been sent out to you, and I think most people know about this, but I think it's important to just summarize why we're here. So ultimately, the question is going to be to give the board, your elected board, I'm the president of the board, but I just speak for the congregation. I'm not speaking for myself, I'm speaking as the president. To give the board the authority to spend some available, unrestricted Granite Peak funds to accomplish several projects. And in the next few minutes, I'm just going to summarize the projects that we're talking about. First of all, just to point out, these funds are separate from our current operating budget. I think most of you know that this, by bylaws, this organization runs on a balanced budget. So the funds we're talking about are not part of our annual budget and do not relate to our stewardship campaign that's coming up, which deals with the annual budget. So these are funds that Granite Peak has in bank accounts earning some interest and have accumulated over time for various reasons. And the Finance Committee has indicated that that spending these funds would have a minimal impact on our financial health. The goal of the projects, and many people have been involved in putting these projects together, and they're quite diverse in their nature. The goal is to enhance the safety, identity, who we are, say who we are to the community, the functionality of this facility, and basically the welcoming appeal to this facility from people who might stop by and look and wonder what's going on here. So, one of the proposals is to improve lighting around the main building. And the specific proposal is to provide electric power. There is no electric power to the north side of the building or the east side of the building except on, yes, that's west side of the building, except all the way back there. So the proposal, and people have looked into bids for this, to bring electric power around the outside of the building that would make it possible to improve the lighting on that side of the building and the north side of the building, including lighting our lovely little sign out there. We have a lovely sign that says Granite Peak, but at night it's not lit. So we have ideas about decorating the north wall of the building so that people, when drive by, could see what this building actually is. So I think many of us would agree that looking at this picture of our building doesn't say much about what we are. You drive by and you wonder what's there. The ground is bare and weedy. There's a rusty, that I've thought, all of us have thought it was a flagpole. It turns out it's a sign pole. There's actually an old electrical wire that goes up, and apparently there was, at some point in the past, there was an electric sign up there. Most of us probably don't picture us putting an electric sign on that pole. It's rusty, and it needs to come down. The rain barrel, although it's a wonderful idea to use rain, it is not functional. It would cost quite a bit of money to make it functional and make it permanently usable even when we have no rain. So just from an aesthetic point of view, we'd like to remove that, move that somewhere else. And part of our project, too, which I'll mention in a moment, is to bring water around this site so we can water things that are planted on the north. We can water things in the garden around our sign out there, and also provide water to the front. So that is one of the things we're going to propose. So nothing on the north side conveys who we are. So what the heck do they do in there, right? So one of the goals, one of the overall goals is to highlight our identity. So, and one of the projects is to add banners to probably two fairly large banners. Two individuals, Chris Hawthorne and Sarah Muller, have looked into this, and we could basically put some sort of signage on the north side so that when people walk by, they see what this building is. The lighting, the electrical power that's brought around would allow us to light those so that they can be seen at night, not just during the day, and so forth. So banners, in fact, the banners would not be expensive, and we have various ideas about what might be on it. Our thoughts would include love of the earth. This is a multi-faith community. You know, what is our message that we want to promote? So adding illumination on those banners, adding banners and some sort of indication of what this community is about. And Chris Hawthorne has drawn up kind of where the banners might go on that north side. So some of the projects increase the functionality of this facility. One thing that has been prepared and is ready to go, because we've added 220 volt power into the kitchen, which it wasn't there before, is that we could add a commercial, basically replace our old dishwasher, which is typically slow and like all of ours in the house, with a commercial dishwasher that would basically have a 3 or 4 minute cycle time. This would greatly help the hospitality team. They have been asking for a long time, can we please do something about that? And actually, part of the proposals, in addition to the dishwasher, are to put a garbage disposal in there, into the sink, so that material that's going down, and I point out, they are very conscious about composting. They compost everything they possibly can, but muck of a lot of dishes is a problem going down the sink, and we really should have a disposal in there. Also, there is a small sink that's non-functional in there. We're going to get that fixed. That's not a big fix. It hasn't been functional for a long time. That's something that's going to be done. Concerning increased functionality, you see this nice little cord here that comes over here that allows somebody up here to do a PowerPoint and control it from here rather than saying, next slide, next line, next slide, next line, and so forth. But we need to upgrade our sound system. We have a lot of echo in this room, and we've consulted with sound experts about what could be done, and there are things that could be done even in this room. Now, I want to point out that all of these proposals are for near-term things that could be done over the next few months. We still are planning, one of the board goals is before the end of this fiscal year to make a decision about how much are we going to do in this room. Are we going to keep the shape the same? Are we going to raise the roof? That's not part of our discussion today. These proposals are all relevant to what our facility is right now. But the sound system that we're talking about improving, we have made arrangements or plans that the sound system will be compatible regardless of what we do to this building. So we're not going to be throwing away money that's going to have to be spent again. Okay. So upgrading the sound system to be compatible with foreseeable future renovations. Now, the other part of the proposal, another part of the proposal regarding increased functionality is indoor lighting improvements, and in particular, and I think there's a thing that downloads, this is coming from the web, in a minute something is going to come on. Okay, here is a picture from Davis Hall, one of our fluorescent fixtures. There are two that are out that you may be able to see down at the bottom there. So the two that are completely out, but in addition, there's a complete hodgepodge of colors in there, and it just doesn't look good. So in thinking about this, various groups have said, if we're going to make changes to our lighting, rather than just putting in new fluorescent bulbs, let's think about putting in LEDs, and what would that take? So we've investigated that, and the plan is to try to basically convert those fixtures to LEDs. There is a conceivable possibility that we may end up changing those fixtures, but to something more attractive, right? But at very least, it's possible to rewire those fixtures to take LED bulbs, and all of them would be the same color, and it would just improve the lighting, the ambiance of that area. So upgrade lighting in LED to LEDs in Davis Hall and the Faith Development Building. If you open the Faith Development Building, out of 20 light fixtures, there are probably, I don't know, 5 or 7 that are not working at all, and it's not just the bulbs, it's the ballasts are out. So again, it's the same issue. We've obtained estimates to do the rewiring. It's not a difficult job. It's pretty straightforward, but it would basically improve the lighting over there. There also is some advantage to upgrading LEDs from fluorescents because they use less power. It's not as dramatic as changing from incandescent, but it's still would be reducing activity and, reducing electricity and certainly being stewards of the earth that's consistent with our general feeling about our general values. Finally, a lot of discussion has gone about the entryway. A major, with the funds that we're asking for here, would not pay for a major renovation of the entryway. That is something that we very much want to consider as part of a more general renovation of this hall. But we have come up with suggestions from and actually offers of doing the work from both Dan Reardon and Dick Walter, who feel that they can add wood cladding to our front door and at least make it more attractive, and also to alter the appearance of the Davis Hall door to basically match in color and at least look like it's earth thing instead of walking into a steel door that you'd kind of expect you're walking into a warehouse sort of situation. Okay. Actually, we've already, I think I've got an extra slide here, so I'm going to quickly just, so we're proposing to remove the flagpole, remove the rain barrel. The big elm tree out front is, many feel that it should be removed. We can discuss that one way or the other, but we do have, within the budget, it would be possible to do that if there's a general consensus that that should be removed. One advantage of removing that large one, and we've also talked about this, removing the large tree that is leaning over the street and over the parking lot, that really needs to be removed. So that's part of our discussion here. So let's see, we've talked about bringing the water line around. I think you can think about things you might want to do with small watered garden areas out here, and also improve the planting of and xeriscaping and being conscious of that. But I think we still want water available so that things don't die and so forth. So let's see. So in conclusion, basically what as president, I'm presenting from the board, we would like you to approve the board's ability to spend up to $50,000 from available unrestricted funds on a series of projects to enhance the safety, identity, functionality, and welcoming and aesthetic appeal of our facility. Thank you. And at this point, having laid the groundwork, I would like to call for a motion. The point is to call for a motion and a second. At that point, we can open discussion. So do I have a motion from the floor? So we have a motion which is basically this. Is that correct? Is that, you agree with that? Yes, okay, so okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? We have a second. Okay, discussion is open. I would request that we limit our remarks to a couple of minutes, to no more than a couple of minutes. Try to be as brief as possible. I think we'd all like to make a decision and get out of here. Yes? That is a very good question. We have a quorum. Thank you very much. And I want to thank all of you for showing up. We have a number of people on Zoom. I think it's the Zoom people that have made it possible to have our quorum. So yes, we have a question back here. And incidentally, we have microphones, which I think we probably need to pass around. Is that?
I just want to say thank you to all the people who put so much work into this plan, whether you agree with it or not. A lot of heart and soul has gone into it. So,
Thank you. Any other discussion? Let's see, in the back.
Coming over.
I think we
Hold
need
on,
to.
hold on, I'm
we
getting you the mic.
Need to have the mics. We've got 2 mics, right?
Rick, I'm sorry, I just had a thought about the water. When you said you're going to move it, the water barrels, and I know they don't look as cute, but they show our ecological concern, and they may save on our water bill over the long haul. So I didn't know if you were going to move it somewhere else on the property and use it. That wasn't clear.
Yeah, the answer at the moment is to move it. We are going to, one thing we want to do is talk to Steve Lovejoy as to whether there would be a use for it over in the garden. That's one question that we haven't resolved yet, but we need to find a home for it where it will be used for a good purpose, whether it's here or elsewhere. That's my answer. Okay, Annette?
Hi, Annette Skellinger. I just have a question about the electricity. If I understand it correctly, where the money would be for getting the supply there, but not necessarily we would have to deal with the actual lighting later on. Is that correct?
Right. This is an issue that has been batted around a great deal. We would all love to have excellent lighting in the parking lot. And in fact, we've got bids for doing that. It is also the case that the whole parking lot needs resurfacing, needs to be redone. And there is a big question, and some people who feel quite confident in their view feel like adding pole lights out there needs to wait as a part of a project of redoing the parking lot as a whole. Now, my thought about this, and this is something that's just going to have to be discussed by the folks that have the authority to actually design the bids, is that we are going to be running, just as you say, we're going to be running electricity around there. We do have lights on the backside of this building, some of which I think are probably not working now. We need to get those working. So that's part of the issue, and it's possible, and I'm just saying we need to explore the possibility that in the process of running this around, can we at least do a little bit at this point? I think to do a complete proper lighting of the parking lot is probably not within the purview of this amount of money, and it's probably going to be should be part of an overall plan that we're going to be deciding on in terms of renovation of this facility and additional things that we're going to try to make a decision on before the end of this year.
Hi, I'm Bronwyn Butterfield. I want to mention that fluorescent lighting can be damaging to people, especially children in the schools, and special ed teachers have covered their lights if they're fluorescent. So I would definitely feel this is an incredibly important thing to do, to remove our fluorescent lights. I also wanted to question about the carpeting and the stage.
Yes.
I think that we need to do that immediately because it is quite appalling to walk into this carpet and that stage that's unfinished. Thank you.
I will again address that, and I sort of have said this before. Everybody wants to change the carpet. Everybody would like to change the carpet right now. The only thing is we need, and there is a plan before this fiscal year is over, to determine what are we going to do with this room. If there is a decision to raise the roof, that the carpet needs to happen after that. If there's a decision to keep this structure the same, then carpet will be done as quickly as we possibly can.
Barb,
But that's
behind you.
not part of this, that's not part of this package.
Kelsey Wilkes. I have one question with the electricity and highlighting our sign. Could we not put solar lighting there that would light it up at night? So just a thought, could we do that?
Yeah.
And then my other question is, I mean, I think everything you want to do is wonderful. Are you going to, or do you already have, teams that are going to be involved in looking at each of those and detailing how to move it forward?
Good question. There is a project team that has basically tried to assemble these proposals. Some of the proposals, some of the things like getting the dishwasher is sort of as Barack Obama said, a shovel-ready project. If you approve, that could be ordered next week. Some of them, like details of exactly where a garden is going to go or where planning is going to go, is clearly going to require people to come forward and say, I want to have a voice in those details. So it varies depending on exactly what project we're talking about. But yes, I think I speak for the board to say that we definitely want input on the details of these. But again, our focus is on giving the board the opportunity to actually get these projects going. Does that answer your question?
Hold on,
Elsie? Yeah.
Dan.
Oh, solar. I heard one comment. I would be very interested in opinions from the group. One issue with, in fact, actually, Sarah Mahler has looked into and actually done a little. Sarah, do you have any comment about that? Because Sarah has looked into that issue to some extent, and could you comment?
I can comment, but really I didn't look at the type of thing that Kelsey's asking about, which is solar-powered,
Right.
Illumination of the front, for instance. I just tested some very minimal landscape solar lighting to see if it would, give it any lighting out here for the solstice celebration, and found no, the little solar pathway lights would not work, but I didn't
Right.
go any further than that, so.
I can add one thing, Rick.
Yeah.
We do have solar lights in our driveway, and we might decide some things need to be lit, like the sign, the Granite Peak stone sign, that we want it to be lit always. We might do electric, because solar is a little bit lighter and doesn't, if there's not a lot of sun, like we're not seeing any lights right now in the driveway. So that's the thing to consider.
I was about to say, solar lights are very easy to walk away with if they're not mounted way high and out of reach. So if you're going to
Yes.
do landscape lights out there, be prepared to come in and see them gone sometime.
I think Wilfred over here has looked into this a lot.
Good afternoon. I've talked to 3 different landscaper groups, and all 3 of them were not excited about sticking him in there. In fact, I have a son-in-law in Phoenix, Arizona area, and he came up and looked at it last Sunday, and he also recommended that we go down into the ground and put permanent ones in, because they'll walk away. And if you're not sure, go to your driveway and look how easy it is to pick them up. You might as well put $50 bills on top of that sign and walk away. Nobody recommended that solar. They said go down into the ground and put your light there.
Just as part of this, I've been party to much of this discussion. I think we're all concerned about saving power, and certainly the concept of solar. I've got lots of solar panels on my home and so forth. I think we would all be very cognizant of low energy lights, LED type things, so that the actual power involved is pretty small. Yes.
Talking of what to do out front and showing who we are, we have a sign, and a lot of other UU churches have that more prominently displayed. It's on our wall and about this big. Can we find a way to make a larger display and put it out there? It usually has a phrase on it that relates to what we are about, and it can be changed. But back there, meh. Out here, yeah.
Okay. The precise design of the banners would involve groups coming together and solidifying.
Big thing, yeah.
Yep. I think the idea, as you say, of promoting who we are out there is important, and that's very consistent. Yeah. So.
Oh, hold on, Lena.
I got her.
Thank you, Barb.
There's no way to work around those two big elm trees that have been here forever? Why do they need to come down?
You say, why do they need to?
That's what she said.
They're, actually, Fred Krabs, could you comment on that?
Here, I got it.
Well, actually, the elms are not a native tree. I think everybody understands that to begin with. They also are a short-lived tree. They eventually will start dropping lots of limbs and eventually start rotting on the inside. The county has already recognized that down on the plaza, where you may notice that they're beginning to try to remove them there. And also for visibility, if you want to be able to see our signage from the street, those trees have to go. If the trees stay there, there's no reason to put any kind of sayings, banners, or anything on the front of this building. So for two reasons, I think the elms, we feel like the elms should really go and be replaced by lower, smaller, more attractive trees. Is that pretty answer your question?
None of us like to cut down trees, right? None of us like to cut down trees, but. Mary Ann has a question.
So, Rick, on Zoom, you may have seen Dawn Carade's, her comment regarding batteries for solar-powered devices are so expensive, and that she just wanted to get that across.
Okay. I actually do not have access to the Zoom up here.
Oh,
Right, right.
Barb?
I don't know about anyone else, but has been anything being looked at for heating this building in here a little bit better?
We can turn the thermostat up back there. Sorry.
Actually, Rick, there's an important question in the back that's time sensitive. Some people have to leave and they're
Yes.
wanting to know, do they fill out a proxy now to get their vote counted, or can we take a vote? I don't know the proper procedure, but that's the question.
Okay, do we have a motion for a vote? There is a call for the question and a second. All in favor of the motion to stop debate and take a vote?
This is to vote. To vote, yeah.
Oh, and prox,
Sitting there?
yeah, voting to close the vote, close debate.
It's your arm.
It clearly is over 50% in here. Yeah, okay. Okay. Having said that, the vote is on the table and a motion has been made to allow the board to approve for the board to spend up to $50,000. And I just emphasize that this money is available and it will not hurt significantly our facility, our fiscal health. Available unrestricted funds on projects to enhance the safety, et cetera. You can read it. So, all in favor? And I hope Mary Ann is taking account.
She is.
Okay. We have about 18 or 20 people on Zoom, so that 19. I want to thank all of you for making the effort to be here and all of those who have participated in this project. In fact, as president of the board, I sincerely thank each member of the board and the finance committee, our treasurer, Tracy Augustine, and many other volunteers who've put all of these together, I think. Okay. Now, the interesting thing is we need a 67% approval of a quorum for this particular item. So we can probably wait to see.
Not yet. We don't have a number yet on Zoom.
You say we have enough in here? The motion passes. Thank you very much. Groups get to work.
And now we extinguish our chalice and dance out the door. Thank you all.